So let me ask you this. So in your view, right? So your position at Phoenix, you've seen plenty of guys come through there, do ruts and things like that, right? And I think you have a unique view. You take a lot of courses, you see a lot of training, and then so from your view of the training space, like how do you see what we're talking about? Like, hey, the professional veteran mentality, listen to me because I was here, or this or that. Like, are you more concerned about pedigree, or are you more concerned about like what you're getting in terms of delivery?
I am only concerned about what we're actually getting from delivery. We've had the opportunity to train with the highest levels of our military guys, right? And I've stood in a hallway in a high rise, and I think I told you guys about this, and we're discussing this doorway. We're getting training, right? Because we're going to hit this thing from the roof. Helicopters are going to go down with them and clear this building out. So we get to take our run. All the actors are running around. We're doing our thing. And I got a young man standing in front of me explaining to me how we're going to take this door. And I'm looking at him going, I don't know if you've ever really done this before, because what you're telling me right now is fucking stupid. You're trying to tell me to do what you guys are doing with our rules of engagement, our responsibilities, and the things that we actually have to be concerned about. And going into a room with the weapon on fire and my finger on the trigger because that's the only way you can be fast. Those are the words out of their mouth. I go, that's completely ridiculous to even explain to someone, because someone's going to try it. Digging into a room with my finger on the trigger with the weapon on fire just because I might get shot is insane. Like, there's hard, fast rules. Like, we can't shoot the good guys. We can't have a mistake. We have to be correct. And sometimes you're going to get shot. Like, just teaching that to cops, like just explaining that even as a thing, and that's not his job. They're just trying to impart it. But it's like, hey, that's where I think it starts, is you don't recognize who you're talking to and why, what you're trying to explain. You're going, this is what we do. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. Well, you're screwed then. No, actually, we're not.
I also think that like, I know which community advocates for that. Can you talk about that, or it's not worth talking about?
It's not worth talking about.
So
come on.
There is a specific community that advocates for that.
Yeah, Blue does also that shit. I've heard about it a lot.
It's also, yeah, the same people that outsource their shooting training to probably the wrong people. Like that, I think I view that as like, this is remarkably unsafe. You open the door for a number of things to happen that violate a number of principles and safety rules and things we don't want to do, right?
Well, look, how about this? Let's say you come from that place, you come from Blue, and that's the way you were trained. You don't have the fucking self-awareness when you're talking to police. You're like, yeah, you guys obviously are not going to do that. Because if you really believed as a police officer that there was something in that room that was so dangerous that you had to go in there off safe, you probably would do something different than go in the room.
No,
right?
So I think that
like they don't have the self-awareness to understand that you guys are in a different situation.
Like, I don't think that is a theme that like is across the whole spectrum of that command.
No,
I think it's like some people do it, some people don't, or whatever.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to shit on all of them.
It's a technique. I don't think that is like as ingrained, or at least the guys that I had trained with, like, obviously we're not against that they're not going to like, hey, this is what we do, right? It would look bad. But I do know, I've heard that plenty of times. I've seen it, firsthand. We're like, hey, I'm doing this. Like, what are you doing? Well, I want to be fast. It's like, nope, let's have a talk about this. But yeah, it's definitely an issue, I think, in terms of mentality, right? I think it shows a very poor operational mentality, and it's definitely not a good training mentality.
Well, the thing is, like, just to not understand your audience.
It's not understanding the audience. It's. I think it might be a little ego driven, like this is what we do, and then explaining to, like, standing in it's saying that something dangerous is in a room that you might have to do something different. I think I've done plenty of things knowing for a fact there is a guy with a gun in the room with a hostage who is going to shoot you when you go in, and I'm still not going to put my gun on fire because I can't be fucking wrong. I have to be correct. We're not somewhere where I can fucking oops. Like, you just can't. Now, somebody else had posted in here, and I like it when people laugh at it like we're not aware of it. Cops shoot no-shoots all the time. Cops shoot the wrong people all the time. All of these things happen. But again, that all goes back to a training problem and a performance problem. And generally, that lack of skill leads people down the road of fear. And that's when they start with fingers on the trigger. They start shooting the gun as fast as they possibly can. And all these other problems that should be addressed in early training are why those things happen. Our hit rate in LE is like 13 to 18%. And it's fluctuating all the time. And we're just one more mag dump away from having the drop. I mean, who knows what's going to happen.
That's amazing to me. I remember, Matt, was it a year ago? We did a live, and I was laughing at the LE hit rate, because when you say, hey, 18% hit rate, that just makes you kind of want to laugh. But here we have a law enforcement trainer say, you're very eyes wide open. You're looking at this situation saying, hey, I want to make this better. Whatever it is, I want it to be better. And there's no ego to it. We're just like, yep, let's take the best ideas. Let's try to make outcomes better for everyone. That's a very different mentality than these guys that get defensive. They kind of turtle up. They're like, hey, I don't want to hear this and this from different people. They're not qualified to have opinions. We're just going to keep doing, what we're doing. That's a very different, sort of mentality that you have.
Yeah, I think like how we would approach it, or at least how I would, is in terms of like a time-saving maneuver, there's an insignificant amount of time it takes for a well-practiced guy to, as the gun comes up, put it on fire, finger on the trigger, right? But I think a lot of that, I don't want to say it comes down to fear. I think it comes down to like lack of confidence in what's happening.
No, I agree. That's just the word I used.
Yeah, what's happening in terms of the situation, and what's happening in terms of their confidence and their skills and ability to handle that.